Hello and welcome to the Grand Line Review, your source for everything One Piece. Today, we will be taking a look at some of the moments over the years that have really ended up defining the series. To be clear, these are the standout instances that can be taken out of context and used to represent One Piece as a whole. Now, the series has had a lot of these over the past 2 decades, and boiling it down to a mere 5 was pretty tough, but I think I've done it. The only criteria for this list is that the moment in question has to be an undeniably iconic image in the history of the series. So with that out of the way, let's begin. Welcome to the top 5 most iconic moments in One Piece. Number 5. The death of Port Gas D Ace. As probably the single most shocking event in the series, Ace's death resonated throughout the One Piece community like nothing before it. This was primarily because up until now, there were really no deaths of a notable character shown in One Piece outside of flashbacks. So not only were we not expecting a death in general, but we were certainly not expecting it to be a character like Ace. So given how abrupt this act occurred, it's no surprise that this moment is very much burnt into the minds of manga readers and anime watchers alike. Consequently, it has gone on to become one of those instances that characterizes One Piece as a whole, but I believe that it mainly became that through shock and subversion of expectations. The moment in and of itself doesn't really capture the spirit of the series, and that's why it sits at a mere number 5. Number 4. I Want to Live. Alright, so this one also appeared in my top 5 most heartbreaking moments, but Nico Robin's declaration to the Straw Hats really does transcend its context. Robin acts as the central figure for the main thread of the Water 7 and Any Slobby arcs, which is probably one of the darkest periods of the series, and culminates in this exceptional line. Here, Robin is accepting that not only does she have the right to live, but that she has dreams and desires of her own to live for, and that perfectly encapsulates the core philosophy of One Piece, which is all about having the freedom to pursue your dreams. Of course, the drama of the moment is significantly heightened with the backdrop of Any Slobby and the Straw Hats quite literally declaring war on the world government, all for the sake of Robin. It's a turning point in the series, all centered around this one beautiful statement, and with all of that in mind, it's no wonder that I Want to Live has become such an iconic moment. Number 3. The Silent Goodbye. As opposed to our previous entry, this moment features no dialogue whatsoever, and manages to evoke an unbelievable amount of power through the simple action of the Straw Hats raising their left arms. So while it might seem trivial now at almost 700 chapters later, Vivi's decision to stay in Alabasta rather than join the Straw Hats was a very poignant moment of drama for a character who had spent a total of 5 arcs now traveling with the crew. It wasn't an easy choice, but Vivi made it, and in the end all she wanted to know was whether or not they would still consider her a comrade if they ever met again. A fairly simple question with a fairly simple answer. However, the Straw Hats were unable to do so verbally due to the presence of the Marines. So in order to keep them from knowing that Vivi associated with pirates, they simply offered up the communal mark on their arms, which said everything and more. And in the years since, this action of raising one's left arm has essentially become an international symbol for One Piece fans, to proclaim their love for the series in general. Even 700 or so chapters later, there are very few moments I can think of that are as iconic as this. However, there are indeed a couple. Number 2. People's Dreams Never Die. Blackbeard's introduction into the series is one of the most intriguing of any characters, especially an antagonist, but where he really stood out in the Jaya arc was when he gave his speech about dreams to Luffy, Nami, and Zoro. Up until this point, the Straw Hats had constantly been laughed at for their dreams and beliefs. And you know, there was the odd concession here and there in figures like Shanks and Mihawk, but Blackbeard really was the first person to actively embody the ideals of our protagonists through his one perfect speech. Which is incredibly bizarre because not only is he a bad guy, he's actually being built up to be the ultimate antagonist. And I think having those words come from a villain only serve to make them more powerful. It's as if they are a truth so deep that it's undeniable no matter which side of the spectrum you fall into. And the artwork itself even serves to make this moment transcend its context by removing absolutely everything on the page except for these 4 characters. Now in the anime, they still keep a chunk of Jaya's background in the shot, but I strongly recommend you go and read this section in the manga, because it is quite literally a completely blank background, which is something that I can't recall ever having happened in the series before or since. As a result, this moment is timeless, existing entirely within a sphere of its own, and representing the series in a way that not even the greatest of world building and detail could ever pull off. With that said, there is still one particularly iconic moment that eclipses it. Number 1. Rogers Execution. This is the event that started it all way back in Chapter 1. Rogers' last words are the catalyst that has produced the world we currently explore in the series, and the image of him on the execution platform between the two blades is, in my mind, undeniably the most iconic moment of the entire series. A lot of this has to do with the fact that for most of the anime series we had some sort of prologue in either the opening or the recap that showed Roger on the platform or had him reciting his last words. And it works really, really well because this moment sets the tone for the entire world, managing to inspire dreams, ambition, and adventure with a collection of very well chosen words and a dastardly smile that would be carried over throughout the entirety of the series through Luffy. So more than anything else, this moment is One Piece, and that's why it easily slots into first place. And that about does it for the top 5 most iconic moments in One Piece. If you enjoyed this video, then feel free to like, favorite, or subscribe, and please do comment with your own most iconic moments in the series, because I know that there are a lot of brilliant ones out there that I just didn't get to cover here. This has been the Grand Line Review, and I'll see you next time.